What's up, guys? Koma here, and today we will be talking about the brand new Arena Royale that will be added to Splitgate on January 22nd. So, currently, I can't post footage, but luckily enough, I can talk about it. So, let's kind of just go through what makes Arena Royale and what has changed between Battle Royale and Arena Royale. First off, Arena Royale is now 24 players. It is no longer like what was it? I forget how much it was in the battle royale. It's been a little while, but now it's a almost like a mini battle royale. And the average game will last between 8 to 10 minutes, depending on what placement you get. So there will be 6 total teams, and essentially it follows completely by the takedown logic. And for no one who understands takedown or hasn't played enough takedown to really know how takedown works, essentially if you die, you will have a respawn timer. If your team survives while you're dead, then you can later respawn once your timer is up and your teammates are out of combat. However, the downside to this is the more people who die on your team will result in that timer going up, but if you get kills, that timer will go down. So it still follows the takedown logic just as the original BR did. I would say when it comes down to being able to respawn with on teammates that are quickly going in and out of combat, it has certainly changed. And respawn location will not always be on your teammate. Now they're choosing like safe respawn areas within the zone and within the map that, if your teammate is kind of being pressured a little bit and it is kind of a risky spawn, they will kind of maneuver you somewhere specific to kind of keep you safe a little bit. So now that the basics of that is covered, let's talk about the maps. So how is map determined in Arena Royale? Well, you will spawn in a small voting area. So it's kind of where originally the ship would be, where you would spawn in and the ship would go through the maps and you figure out where to drop. But now Arena Royale spawns you in a voting arena where it'll have 4 maps on each side of the little room, and you can stand in whichever map you want to play the most. Every player has a choose in the vote, so if there's a specific map you want, you can always hop in. And with prox chat, you can actually tell people how to stand in what map you want. So if everybody wants to be like, let's go to Glacier, you can convince people via prox chat to actually go and vote Glacier. So it's a very unique thing that you have both proximity chat, which allows you to talk to enemies, and you can talk your smack with prox chat as well, and you can also vote on whatever map you want. I would assume on launch you're most likely going to see outskirts, but later on, of course, we might see more later. Going on to basically a few things that have changed. On initial drop, you will now have the loadout choice secondary and your perks associated with that loadout. So if you have a Tetra, like I run, and then you run Slide, Speedy Slayer, and Killer Equipment, on initial drop, you'll also have those as well. You'll just be missing the primary. Events will now pop up within the Royale, which rewards a big chunk of credits for upgrades. There are 3 specific types of events that you will find within the arena, or at least from when we played. They might add more later. Specific one is Split Ball. It is 1 ball and 1 capture location. This means that one person would be carrying the split ball, and then the other teammates will have to defend, or you can juggle it. I believe, I could be wrong, but this might have been a bug that we found within the game, that if you die with the split ball, it resets back to its original spawning location. I'm not totally sure on that. It might have been a bug. But all you have to do is capture the ball in the specific location, and your entire team gets rewarded with cash for upgrades. We'll talk about upgrades here in a moment. Next is Firecracker. There will be 2 firecrackers that spawn in 2 different locations, and there will be 1 plant location. All you have to do is take the firecracker to the plant location and plant it. Enemy teams can defuse it. We actually never had anyone defuse it during the early playtests. So that is something to also keep note of. I don't know if that resets the firecracker back to the original spawn location or if that completely removes the firecracker from play. I have no clue. Going on to Hot Zone, it's a simple stand in point and capture it. There's really nothing to it, but each of them will grant a specific amount of cash, and they are very beneficial if you manage to actually get your hands on them for the credits. Now, going on to the upgrades, as I mentioned, upgrades are now accessible via the scoreboard, and shopping stations are completely gone. Credits are obtained from pretty much everything when it comes down to how the BR functioned, kind of. Opening crates will essentially give you credits. Killing enemies, of course, we already talked about the events, and the events are a big factor. As well as over time, the crates will actually refresh and the rarity will increase, and you can essentially get more and more and more as time progresses. But getting kills will, of course, give you like a good chunk of the credits that you need because you're going to be doing a lot of that within the Arena Royale. Going on to how the focus has shifted around a bit when it comes down to the looting experience. Essentially, they made a lot of quick pickups, so all you have to do is walk close to it and essentially pick up any sort of upgrade very quickly without necessarily needing to sit there and tediously loot as you previously did have to do in the Battle Royale. So now you walk over, open a chest, and any upgrade that is within that chest will automatically be picked up, um, sometimes with no animation. So like if you pick up like a portal gun and a chest piece, it'll only play one animation. You don't have to go through two animations. Um, and that is pretty much it. Everything else will still have the upgrades, but thankfully the scoreboard is a very quick way of just quickly upgrading. Again, it's only one animation if you're buying multiple things and spamming it and quickly upgrading. It's pretty smooth, pretty quick, and portals are still limited, so the portal gun upgrade is still there. It's 4, 6, 8, and 12 portals in that upgrade order, so that is still remaining the same. And now, death no longer degrades your armor, and I believe your portal gun down a tier. So this means that if you have gold armor and you die, you're still going to be respawning with gold armor. Essentially, the only things you lose on death are any upgradable equipment that you have and your guns as well. But whenever you respawn, you actually do spawn in with your loadout. So I don't know if you keep perks. That is something I don't know, as there's really no way to really keep track of perks right now, I believe. But if you do respawn, you will have whatever your selected loadout is. So if that's a Trailblazer and a Goliath and then your 3 perks, you'll have that on respawn. All right, so my thoughts out of the whole scripted thing, I have a few things that I just kind of want to talk about here. I think this is a very great step forward from the Battle Royale. I know the Battle Royale was kind of a touchy thing that they kind of released, that they kind of said that was bigger than campaign. I largely disagree with that. I don't think it was bigger than campaign. But I'm glad they're kind of reeling the Royale aspect of the Arena Royale back a little bit, and kind of giving it the more arena focus that they kind of wanted with the BR, as this is really similar to the BR, and it's, you know, it's fun, fast, and interactive with the new events. The events really pull players to areas to make hotspots, so it's definitely a good change that they have added. Overall, the upgrading takes some time to get used to, but it's quick. Having to, pull up your scoreboard and quickly, press a few buttons, it'll be something that players are definitely going to have to get used to. Not losing tiers on armor or portal guns is great quality of life. It just ensures those resources aren't wasted anymore, because in the original Battle Royale, you would lose a tier each time you died, and that kind of became kind of almost a weird tug of war of sorts whenever you played it, because you would die and then you would come back, and then if you managed to kill an enemy, not only did you get their tier, but you could also loot your old body and get that tier back, or if they took your tier, then you could get yours back. It was kind of a weird tug of war, and they've really kind of solve that. But in the grand scheme of things, this just feels like a massive takedown match. And everyone who plays Splitgate really loves Takedown. Takedown is like fundamentally the core of Splitgate. A lot of people really wish that Takedown was the core of Splitgate. And realistically, it is, but as of right now, they're really taking their time to sort out a few things as Takedown is currently bugged. But it was nice to see that pushed to not only the BR, but it's also still pushed into the Arena Royale. Granted, it is a completely different experience. The armor, the portal limits, the weapon selection, and everything that's going on is completely different. As well as the bigger map, of course. You know, when it comes down to how big the maps are, it's definitely not takedown to a T, but it certainly is very enjoyable in my opinion. Additionally, I do want to kind of just talk about some of the maps that are missing. We do have confirmation that Inferno will eventually be added as a map. At launch, we will only have 4 maps, which are Glacier, Fracture, Drought, and the new map Outskirts, which I will be uploading more footage on the 22nd, which is the day of launch. Sorry, I had to think about that for a moment. So if you're interested in seeing that footage, you can also keep an eye out on my channel for that. As for Sanctum, which is our 5th, I think, no, 6th map, unfortunately, we have no clue whether or not that is coming to the game. The issue is probably because of how small it is and how covered the corners of the map are. So you really can't drop into Sanctum like normal. But we will see how they decide to take Sanctum in the future. I was thinking like a gulag or something would be kind of cool, or some sort of like, you know, you could put 2 teams into it and have kind of like a face-off sort of thing. But overall, we're not sure how they will rotate these maps out. Maybe it's completely random. Maybe they'll have ways to rotate these things freely, just like, you know, how they rotate the other maps. But all in all, I do think Arena Royale is a very great way to kind of push the Royale format genre into arena shooters. It's much like the VR, it's very refreshing to play compared to the arena like style. So I'm very eager to see how not only it evolves, but to see the more maps and stuff come out with it. And yeah, I think that's generally all of my thoughts. I appreciate anyone watching up until this point. Keep an eye out on my channel for the content on the 22nd. I'll be uploading 4 videos, I would assume, all at once, because that's day of drop, and I might as well just drop them all that day. And yeah, so you can like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to come back for more content here. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Adios.